I really appreciate you taking some time to join us. I promise you the information is going to be valuable. So we are talking about area preschools today, and the overall topic of preschools in general. We have with us two amazing panelists, Adrienne Topping Zimmerman, as well as Patty Stroman. Adrienne, I have known in the community. We have some crossover in kids' ages, has been in the community for over 20 years, and she is the director at our co-op, which is, for those of you who have been to Taylor Park, it's that adorable building that is by the playground in Taylor Park, and it's a really unique preschool program. Patty is the director of the Alpine Montessori School in Millburn, which is on Willow Street. Is it still on Willow Street? Yeah, right around. Oh, Bleecker. Patty herself lives in Jersey City, so she brings a different perspective to the preschool world, as well as daycare world and all the different kinds of programming. I myself am a Montessori preschool kid, so I remember the program well. We will let them speak about their programs and also open it up for questions. Adrienne, you want to kick it off?
Yeah, sure. So as you guys well know, schools are one of the main reasons that people move to this area. It used to once upon a time be the great commute to New York City, but not so many people are doing that as much anymore. But our schools are still a really big draw to the area. And while our public schools are incredibly well renowned and people see all sorts of articles on that, many times when they move here, their kids are younger than to be ready to move into public school, and they're looking for what options are available. There are more and more public school options available. Our Millburn Public Schools still has just the one integrated preschool, but Maplewood Public Schools has started opening up their preschools so that there are more and more pre-Ks. You don't really get in to see what they're like, but you should know that they exist. And then there are all of the private schools in the area, which there are a plethora of. And there are more and more as time goes on. So there are schools like ours, which is a co-op, which means that you have parent participation in the school. Parents not only get to come in and co-op with their kid once a month, but they hold a job in the school, which can be anything like the person who brings crickets to feed our leopard gecko, or the person who is the parent recruiter. So when there are other parents who are interested in our program, we put them onto a parent who can tell them all about our program from a parent's perspective, which is so important. I feel like that's how people really used to get to know about schools, is from your neighbor. I mean, I found out about the co-op, my own kids went there just a couple of years ago, because my next door neighbor said, there's a school we think you'd really like, you should go and check it out. And I feel like there's less and less of that, but there's more and more of it on social media. But it's still really nice to have that connection of, this is someone who lives in my area and goes to this school, and I can get information about my program from them. So it's an important job. Parents also help run our school, so they're part of the meetings and they really get to be a part of our community. And I think that's one of the most important things, is when you're looking for a preschool, you're looking for a place where your family is comfortable and you're going to meet the people that you want to spend time with, because it's not only about your children. Parents actually, you know, really get to know each other through preschools, and that's an important piece of things. Do you want me to tell you more about our school, or do you?
Let's. So, Patty, what is your perspective? Montessori is a completely different program. So.
It is different. We here at Alpine, we're kind of a hybrid as well. So we have all the Montessori materials, manipulatives. We most certainly preach the Montessori method and the beliefs of children, you know, growing at their own pace. But we are kind of a hybrid as well. We're not Montessori, strict Montessori only. We do not have a multi-age classroom because of our building. Our building is many classrooms, floors. We do not separate the children necessarily by their age, though. We do by ability. So that's where we do try to bring in the Montessori, way, the best that we can here. As well, also being in the Millburn-Short Hills area, we have to implement a little bit of the academics as well. We're preparing them for whether it be, the Millburn public school system, or we have a lot of families that go to the private schools as well. The Pingree, the Peck, the Kent Place, MKA, any of them in the area. So that's a little bit of what does make us different, where we are Montessori, but that is something different for us. I'm finding more and more people from our perspective are looking for something, say like the Co-op or Alpine, or one of the options in the area. I know we're having a lot of inquiries, which is a great thing. We love it. We love people coming together. We do have a very strong parent committee as well, community. They're dying to get in, the way things used to be. I mean, we do, we're trying to figure things out, but of course right now we do have to scale back, but we do, we love having the parents involved, which is a great thing. Adrienne touched on so many important things, there's so many options. There's, say if you
talk about some of those options.
I was just going to say,
yeah,
if you want
back
that
to
half day, that the experience, like the Co-op is, able to offer, that's awesome. That's great. A lot of parents, that's what they want, and to say if somebody does come here and that's what they want, I would gladly, say, maybe you should go to Adrienne. And just because here we are more of a full day option. Most of our parents, both parents are working, and so I guess they need the children in there all day. There is another Montessori in Short Hills, which is traditional, different, very different from us. They are traditional Montessori. So that's a difference. People say they want Montessori, but do they want traditional, or do they want kind of like a hybrid? It depends on which one they would prefer. Yes. Did you have I'm sorry, a question?
Sure. When you say all day, can you guys both explain your
Yes.
hours?
So our school day, regular school day is 9 till 3. There are some, not many families who may do the half day for the younger children, the 2s and the 3s. So that's either 9 to 11:30 or 12:30 till 3. But then we offer a morning care that starts at 8 and an aftercare that goes 3 to 5. That's our schedule.
I think that's a really important thing to think about when you're talking to people who are moving into the area, what their needs are. Are their needs, ours is a half-day program. So our 3s and 4s, which is a multi-age group, is either 8:30 to 11:30 or 12:30 to 3:30. Even our kindergarten program is only 8:45 to 1:30 with the option to extend from 1:30 to 3:30, so that you can choose how much your child is ready for at that stage. But if you truly need, childcare, there are other programs in the area to look for. There are 2 licenses in the area. You're either licensed for 2.5 to 6, which is what we are, or you're licensed for, I think it's 6 weeks to 6. And there are a lot more programs like that in the area because there are a lot of families that need a longer day. They need an earlier morning so that they can get on a train and go somewhere.
Yes.
So it's really important to know that these things are available out there. I know the Goddard School has long hours and they take younger children, and there are quite a few others out there. I think that the St. Stephen's across the street from us does as well. There are several out there.
Yeah, we have Lightbridge a few doors down. It's the same thing. They're open more than we are. So because also I know not just hours for us, we follow a school-like schedule. You know what I mean? So we're closed for say 10 days at Christmas time, or a week in February. So for some parents, that's important as well.
It is, yeah. Some parents need childcare during that time.
Yes, yeah.
And this is not what they're looking for. Yeah, absolutely right. So I
When
think,
go ahead.
no, you go.
When somebody does have a buyer, a potential buyer, a client, and they are wanting more information about the area and the preschool offerings, where would you tell them to or where could they get the best information? Where would you point them in the direction to gathering information?
There's so much information online now to be able to find, what schools are in the area. Whereas, 10 years ago, not everybody had an active website. Now more and more do. But feel free to reach out to any director in the area too, because we'll point you for what you're looking for. We understand that we're not the right place for everyone and that there are a lot of amazing programs in our area, and we're happy to give you what information we have. I don't know about you, but I get a lot of information from relocation companies that are calling me from, California or overseas or all different places. And they're like, we're looking in your area. Can you give us more information? And we're always happy to tell them what we know about what's available in this area.
Now, Patty, you mentioned right sort of at the top that you're almost full.
Yes.
So when talking to potential preschool parents, what time of year would you tell them that they need to start investigating, and what does that timeline look for them?
So what we do, and this is like brand new. This is brand new to us. We've never had this. It's great. We're thrilled, but so it is evolving. Right now, well, today is the last day for existing families to register. So anybody who's here in the school wants to come back next year, today is their day, the last day. Monday afternoon, which we do every year, Martin Luther King, that afternoon, we are having an open house for new families, inquiring families. They've been calling and emailing, and we did set up an email list for them. And a few weeks ago, my owner did send out a sign-up genius inviting them all, and especially for this year, because we can't have too many people in the building, and with everything going on. So we had people register, and that is going to be Monday afternoon. After that open house, we will then look at our numbers. Years past, we didn't have this. Like, we did that, and then we said, okay, we're open for tours, and people would come in, they'd see the school, but we don't even know what our numbers, how many spots we will have as a Tuesday morning. So
does that mean you have a rolling in enrollment right now because of you don't know how many people are coming in and out at this point?
Right. But the thing is, we're looking at, with our existing families, there are a few spots left. And I think there's like 48 people coming to open house. So I don't know. I can't say, oh, everybody's going to sign up and we're going to be full. We may still have, a few spots up, but I wouldn't know that till Tuesday. So normally, yes, we are rolling, and, it goes through until we're full. And this year, I don't know what that is going to look like.
How about you, Adrienne? Like, what is your process?
So you can get on our wait list. So we have a rolling, and it goes by a wait list. You can put your child on a wait list. Your child just has to be born, has to have a birth date in order to go on our wait list. We've had pregnant parents come in and ask, like, well, when can I put my child? I'm like, well, you don't have a child yet, so soon. But Yeah, and then as soon as you can register online, you know, apply online for our school. And then we go through this time of years when we go through to see applicants versus spaces, and all of that. We also try to balance our class. It's different than a lot of places, but we really try to balance by gender. So in our 3s and 4s classes, we try to have 8 3-year-olds and 8 4-year-olds, 8 boys and 8 girls, and balance things as best we can. So you might have, you know, a boy and I have an open girl spot, but I can't offer you a spot quite yet because I need to see if I get a few more applications in and can actually balance things. So in that way, we do things a little bit differently. But I think most schools in the area are working on their enrollment now, this time of year. And then whatever open spots are available, they'll fill as people move into the area. And I'm sure you have the same thing that we do, where things change every year. So I think my enrollment is set in February, but in March, a family moves to California, and in, you know, June, a family has a baby and they're like, look, we just can't do the co-op thing with a colicky baby, and things change throughout the year. So it's always worthwhile reaching out to see if we have spots, because
Definitely, definitely.
you know, yeah. And I think that you touched on the fact that, like, you are Montessori, but the other Montessori is a different Montessori. There are ones that are really strict. There are so many different philosophies in our area. There are forest schools where it's outside exclusively. There are schools like ours where half your day's inside and half your day's outside, unless the weather's really nice. Then maybe the whole day is outside because we have Taylor Park to get to use. There are religious schools in the area, and for some families that's really important for them to be able to connect with a religious institution and then find their community for their kids to go to school. So it's really worth talking to the clients as they move in, like, what's important to you? What are your values and what are you looking for in a preschool? And the other thing you also touched on was COVID policies. We all have to follow the Department of Health guidelines. So CDC starts, they create their guidelines. The Department of Health of New Jersey goes from there, and they say, these are the ones that we're going to implement. And on top of that, they can add things, both for K through 12 and for child's care. On top of that, DCFS can add more guidelines, but on top of that, schools can add more guidelines. So you want to reach out and see, are you comfortable with this school's guidelines? Does this work for you and your family? There are so many families that are so anxious and nervous about, you know, COVID particularly at the moment, that it's a great question to ask a director of a school.
And do you see the enrollment changes because of currently what's going on with, you know, the pandemic, and people are more hesitant to sign up for preschool because, you know, preschool, you know, it's under 5, mostly under 5, and they cannot get vaccinated. So how does that work?
I mean, surprisingly, we have more people trying to get into school than ever. So I don't look at the, you know, the pandemic as hurting us at all, actually, believe it or not. If anything, I've had more people who some people had experiences they were not happy with. And so instead of going the public route, they came looking for a private place to send their child. So it's actually helped our enrollment.
Our kindergarten enrollment skyrocketed because of that.
Crazy. It is.
And I would say in September of 2020, parents were more hesitant. They were like, I'm not really sure. Am I going to send my child? Am I not going to send my child? But at this point, they're like, I want to send my child. What are your guidelines and how are you keeping them safe? But they really have reached the point where they're like, I know my kid needs socialization. They can't stay in the house, you know, alone any longer. And it's, well, not alone, but you know what I mean, without friends any longer.
We want to know who those parents are.
Who is that?
Can we talk a little bit about ranges of tuition?
Okay.
I'm sure that they're all over the place, but can we have some expectations of what those ranges might be like?
They really are all over the place. So I can tell you that in Millburn itself, your child can go to public preschool for 3s and 4s for free only if they have an IEP or a need. Other than that, even the public school charges, and I want to say it's like $4,500, but don't quote me on that.
Yeah,
and-
we're talking ranges here. We're not,
Right,
we're not
so-
gonna, yeah.
in that zone, right?
Right.
And their system, the public school system, is that if your child is not need-based, then they go into a lottery. And their lottery isn't drawn until the middle of February. And like, you know, Alpine and the Co-op both, our schools may well be full by February. So there are
Right.
families that are kind of hedging their bets. They're like, all right, I'm wishing for my kid to get into public school, but if they don't, then I'm going to put in an application in elsewhere just in case. So that happens sometimes too, but it can go all the way up to Farbrook in the area, which I think is like $15,000 a year for 3s pre-K. Yeah,
It's around there. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
right? There's a range in there.
And there's, yeah, I mean, we're a little higher.
Yeah.
Okay,
I think it range between, you know, the school between probably 4 to 18 to maybe up to 20. It depends on the school services and also the hours, right? How
Right,
much hour they spend in school. So that's really,
absolutely.
and that's when you need to find out through each of the directors and the hours of service they provide. And it's great that you guys both have, you know, to have kindergartens in the preschool and going to kindergartens. And does most people send the kids to kindergartens in your school and then send their kids to kindergartens again to public school, or they go to the next level?
I get both. I
Yeah,
have
it
both.
depends on the child's age. Oh, sorry, Patricia.
Yeah. No, exactly. Age is a big thing. I mean,
Mhm.
especially the poor parent that has the child born October 15th. You know, they're maybe bright enough, and so we would put them right in our K room, but they do have to repeat that.
Right.
So yeah, it varies. It definitely varies on their child. You know, for us, the child's ability, their birth date, and so.
Right. Yeah, it is
Where
odd
would
that
we-
New Jersey has an October 1st cutoff date.
Yeah.
I mean, it would
Yes.
make more sense if it was September 1st, so your child walked in the door. But yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Do
But
you have parents coming to you for recommendations as to whether they should be holding their child back? And
They
Yeah.
do.
what does that process look like? Because that's an interesting.
Well, I take it one child at a time, you know. I truly, you know, do get to know that child to see, you know, because there are some children who benefit greatly from being held back.
Right.
And there are other children who it would harm them to be held back because they're going to be bored and, you know, they're overly social and they need to be with their peers. So it definitely depends on emotional and psychological and physical, academic, all these different moving parts.
yeah, it's so important to think about. I mean, a lot of the parents are making that decision now, this time of year. And you've got 9 months before
Yeah.
your kid comes back to school.
Lots
and
going to
things
happen.
like that. Also, so many of the parents that are really worried about their child academically, and they're like, should I hold my child academically? I mean, Millburn is a really tough school system, and I totally understand that. But by the time kids hit 7 is when they all start to kind of level out a bit. So because your child isn't academically where they should be at the age of 5 is entirely different than where they will succeed later in life. And a lot more of it really depends on their social skills and their
Emotional, social are the most important. They're definitely number one. You know, and believe it or not, I don't know if this sounds bizarre to you. For some parents, they hold them back just for sports, athletics.
I was
You
going to
know,
say
and
that.
I never encourage that. For me, I'm sorry. But I've heard it
So have I, yeah.
a few times. So
And let's just talk about your program. Can anyone apply to your school, or do they have to live in a certain area? I just want to make sure people.
anybody, we're anybody.
You're open to anybody, right? So it doesn't matter you located in Millburn, doesn't matter you live in Springfield, Westfield.
I had a
Hot Springs.
family who used to commute from New York, from the city, from Manhattan.
Yeah, when you have a program that is based on a specific philosophy. You draw families from all over the place that are interested in that philosophy. So most schools in this area get people, you know, from all different places. We have families from Watchung, from Montclair that
The
come
good
down.
thing is, it's a nice thing about it, you know, it's definitely.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that people on the Zoom call know that, you know, it's not just for specific for the
Right.
town, but
No,
everyone
definitely.
can
No, definitely.
register to your school. So
Yeah.
that's why I'm gonna make sure that everyone
That's a
knows
great
that.
question.
Thank you.
Sure, absolutely. Is there anything that we didn't ask you that you would like us to cover?
I think that's most
Yeah,
everything.
I think we
Anyone has any questions other than myself or Berlin? And if you guys can actually, Adrienne and Patricia, you guys can actually put it in the chat box, your contact informations and your phone numbers and your email
Sure.
address. And so people can get in touch with you. If you have a website also, that would be great that they can get in touch with you. We are also updating our list as well for preschool that will be coming up on a website soon that have a list of all the school. We'll make sure you guys are on it as well.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for doing this. I think it's so important. I was saying to Berlin that when I moved into this neighborhood 26 years ago, we got the little package from our realtor, this little plastic bag that had refrigerator magnets in it and, you know, business cards and all of that sort of thing. And I feel like it's so important for families moving into the area to really find out what exists in this area. So you
Yeah.
realtors play a really important role in all of that.
No, thank you. Yeah, I mean, this is all recorded, so we'll be actually putting this up on the website and also available on YouTube, so people can see it.
Nice.
And, which is great. Then your information is on there. So thank you so much. This is Simon from the Simon Westfall-Kwong Real Estate Group of Keller Williams. And if you guys have another topic that you'd like us to talk about, please email us at info@swkrealestate.com, or you can call us at 973-489-8885. Again, I want to thank you for speaker today, Patricia and Adrienne. Thank you so much.
It was a pleasure.
It was.
Yeah, thank you. I love this.
Great. Thank you
What a
so
great
much.
job.
Thank you guys so much. Appreciate it.
You guys have
Have
a great day.
Thank you. Have a great
Thanks, guys.
day. Thanks. Be safe.